welcome to your Faith Update. Today, I want to turn our attention to the book of 1 John chapter 3, verse 18. My little children, let us not love in word, neither in tongue, but in deed and in truth. Now, love is an important issue in the Bible. God makes a big deal of it, and why not? I mean, God is love, right? Therefore, as believers, we too are to love. Now, we need to define that word love. And we often define it as an action word. And indeed it is. We look at our passage even today and it says, let us not love in word, neither in tongue, but in deed. So we're to be actively loving. However, the Bible doesn't stop there. It says, and in truth. So we're to love in deed, yes, but also in truth. Now, in the Bible, we have some examples of that. For instance, we have John the Baptist who disagreed with Herod. I mean, Herod had taken his brother's wife. And now John the Baptist stands in opposition to him saying, listen, that is wrong. You can't do that. I don't agree with your position, Herod. No matter how rooted you are in the social norm, no matter how socially acceptable that may be, the fact is that it is wrong. You can't do that. Well, we know how that ends for John the Baptist. He loses his head. I think of Jesus himself, who rebuked the religious leaders of his day, who said to them, listen, you guys aren't doing things the way you ought to, and it's not necessarily right. As a matter of fact, once again, it may be acceptable within the ranks of your leadership. It may be acceptable in the culture and the society in which we live. However, the fact is that it does not align itself with truth. So what happens to Jesus? He's ridiculed, mistreated, and even killed. I think of Paul and Barnabas. They go at it, don't they? At some point they have a disagreement concerning John Mark. The disagreement is so sharp, the Bible tells us, that they go their separate ways. And yet we know that they loved people. We know that they loved one another. And they accomplished much on God's behalf. Now, what we have to understand is that society seems to be trying to redefine love again. It's embraced this philosophy that states, if you don't agree with me and you don't support me, then you don't love me. As a matter of fact, you probably hate me. Well, we know that's not the case biblically. See, the Bible tells us that yes, indeed, we are to love in deed, but it says also in truth. Love is not necessarily defined by agreeing with someone or tolerating someone or even being unified with someone. See, this philosophy that is being perpetuated in our culture concerning love is ultimately a very bad thing. Because see, what it's saying is that for you to disagree with me means that you don't love me. Well, think about this for just a moment. We know what's going on in our culture today, and so many have adopted this philosophy. Think about how it's going to affect the believer down the road even. Think about the gay rights movement. Think about transgenders. Consider those who do not agree with the biblical views. Think about those who say that the Bible is wrong. And yet they say, if you don't agree with us, if you don't embrace us, if you don't tolerate us and show that by getting in on our side and supporting us, then you don't love us. If you don't love us, then you're against us. Well, nothing could be further from the truth. I don't have to necessarily agree with someone or agree with their lifestyle in order to love them. I need to love them indeed, that's for sure. But I also need to love them in truth. So, we need to apply biblical love. Biblical love does not mean we have to embrace or agree with every lifestyle or every position that someone holds. The Bible says the truth will make you free. And can I say it will free others as well? You don't have to swallow a lie in order to love. We're to love in truth. Make sure the position that you hold is a biblical position. It may not always agree with everyone else, but just because you disagree with someone doesn't mean you don't love them. Now that's the definition the world is trying to sell us. But that is not a biblical definition of love. My little children, let us not love in word, neither in tongue, but in deed and in truth. That's God's truth, by the way. Let's align ourselves with God and His Word, and then just love people. We don't necessarily have to agree with them or their lifestyles, or their particular positions or political standing. We simply need to love people in truth. May God bless you.